display all city names. Okay, with that in place, I can save our script and refresh the page. As a result, we can now see our sidebar with the different cities. So far it has no functionality, but we will take care of that in just a moment. Before that, let me copy and paste the city selection and adjust the code to display the different customer types and gender information. After a quick refresh, we've got now our filter selection in place. For each field, Streamlit will return a list with the selected options. Currently, those lists are stored in our variables city, customer type and gender. To filter our actual data frame, I will be using the query method and store the filtered data frame in a variable called dfSelection. I can now go ahead and query our columns based on our selection. Pandas should filter the city column based on the city list. You can use add to refer to a variable. I will do the same for the customer type and gender. To test this out, I will be returning the filtered dataset to our web app instead of the original data frame. After saving the script and refreshing the page, let me test the selection by removing the normal customer type. As a result, we will get back a data frame which only contains member as the customer type. Likewise, we could go ahead and also test the other selection fields. Now that we have this in place, I will display some KPIs on the main page instead of our data frame. Before calculating the KPIs, I will insert a title. As before, I will use the bar chart emoji in the title. To separate the title from the KPIs, I will insert a new paragraph using a markdown field. For the KPIs, I would like to display the total sales, the average rating, and the average sales by a transaction. The total sales will be simply the sum of the total column. This line of code will return a float number. But as those KPIs are intended to give the user a first glance at the numbers, I will display the sales amount without decimal values by converting it into an integer. For the average rating, I will take the mean of the rating column and round it with 1 decimal. Next to the average rating, I would like to illustrate the rating score by emojis. Therefore, I will multiply the number of the star emoji by the average rating. I will take a more simplified approach here by rounding the rating. So a result of 6.9 would be displayed as 7 stars. To multiply this number with the star emojis, I will also convert it to an integer. Okay, and last but not least, I will calculate the average sales of a transaction by applying the mean to the total column. With that in place, we can go ahead and insert the figures next to each other in 3 separate columns: a left, middle and right column. To do so, I'm using the Streamlit columns method. As a next step, I can now insert the content into the different columns. Within the left column, I would like to display the total sales. I'm using here an F string to concatenate US dollar with the actual values we have calculated earlier. To make it easier for the user, I will display the total sales with 1000 separators. Within the middle column, I will place the information about the rating, and on the very right side of the page, I will put the average sales by transaction. To separate those KPIs from the next section, I will also insert a divider by using a markdown field with 3 hyphens. Okay, before moving on, let us test this by saving the script and refreshing the web app. Okay, and here it is. As expected, when we change the filters, we should also see our KPIs changing.